All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I didn't update one aspect of the graphic. Give me 1 second. We need to update this to Roval post race. That's better. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Roval post race show. We'll get to the call-ins here shortly. If anyone wants to call in and share their thoughts on today's race, call in at that number on screen. Let me go ahead and open that up for that time. We're not ready for the call-ins yet, so we'll get to you guys in just a second. All right, to start this race off, lap one. Lap one, the big story. Kyle Busch just losing it. You know, they initially said it was probably contact, but it looked like he just got loose and then hits the outside wall in turn one. Breaks the totaling, has to go behind the wall, ends up going around 8 laps down, whatnot, and never really came back from that. We'll hear a little bit more from Kyle later in the race, but very disappointing race. I know we had some people in our chat during our race broadcast. Some people did think Kyle had a shot. I think Ross in our chat said Kyle was going to make a last lap pass for the win, but that did not happen. Now, stage one was kind of quiet. SVG just pulled out, was able to get out to a pretty nice advantage later in stage one. And a few different strategies developed. Some guys pit twice. Some guys pit about halfway through, about 11 laps into the stage, and then ended up flipping the stage. So 2 pit stops. Other guys stayed out to the very end and flipped the stage then. And some guys pit halfway through and then didn't flip the stage. So there were 3, really distinct strategies in stage one. And there was a decent amount of fall off with these tires. It'd start off around 88 seconds flat, maybe a little above 88 seconds, and then progress towards 92 seconds over the course of a run. So, shut up about the playoffs, King. We hate the playoffs here. But you're allowed to have your opinion, even if it's garbage. So let's look at our stage one results. That's really the biggest news. Not much happened during stage one. So SVG getting 10 stage points, even though he's eliminated from the playoffs currently. Kyle Larson finishing second. Ty Gibbs third. Fourth, Christopher Bell. Fifth, Ross Chastain. Sixth, Michael McDowell. Seventh, Chase Briscoe. Eighth, Chase Elliott. Ninth, William Byron. And 10th, Ty Dillon. Denny Hamlin just missing out on stage points. So did Joey Logano. Ryan Blaney as well. Now, Byron was running a lot lower than this, so it was impressive that he even got he got 2 stage points here, so pretty impressive there. Chase is already locked in. He didn't need it. Kyle already locked in. He didn't need it. And Bell eventually would lock himself in. Briscoe getting good points. He did need them. And Ross doing what he needed to do and get stage points here. Give me 1 moment. This is a look at our stage finishes. Jason said his boy Joey about to break his odd year jinx. Denny Hamlin's so stupid for passing Chastain there. If he wanted a clearer path to the championship, he would have let Ross Chastain make it in the next round. Very, very stupid decision to let Joey into this round because, he's pretty surgical at Martinsville. So we'll see how that goes. That's a look at our stage one results. And then in stage two, on lap 34, Carson Hocevar ends up taking out Austin Cindric. Carson just locked it up for a long way going onto the front stretch chicane and just ended up spinning him out. And it ended up cutting down his left front as well. So both guys would limp back to pit road. And this would pretty much take Cindric out of the race. And I probably ended up finishing dead last. So horrible day for Cindric. Cindric needed to win today. He needed to win to get in. He was so many points back. And this should have been a track he's good at. You know, Austin Cindric at heart is a road course racer, and he didn't show it today. Even before the broken toe link and getting spun by Hocevar, he didn't have the pace. And that was really our main action throughout stage 2. Again, we were having the strategies of some guys pitting multiple times, other guys trying to stretch and run long. And, you know, that created most of our passing and got, you know, guys moving in and out of the playoff cut line. Let's look at our stage 2 results. So for our stage 2 results, we have Ryan Blaney taking stage 2, Tyler Reddick second, third, Chase Elliott fourth, Ross Chastain. So Ross earning stage points again. That's huge. But Joey Logano was also able to sneak in to the top 10 and earn 3 stage points. So we also have SVG in 5th, Kyle Larson 6th, Christopher Bell 7th. These were really our leaders here on this main strategy. And then 8th, Joey Logano, like we said earlier. 9th, Daniel Suarez. And 10th, Cole Custer. Ty Dillon again, 11th. So decent day for Ty Dillon so far. And onto stage 3. On lap 58, Austin Dillon wrecks into the tire barriers and brings out our first caution for cause. And I don't think we actually have a replay of this. Oh, we do have a replay of the Hocevar and Cindric, so they added this since I last looked. So we'll take a look at this for a second. This was our stage 2 accident between Hocevar and Cindric. So both those guys would limp back to pit road. And that pretty much ended Cindric's day. You know, no shot at winning after this. You know, broken toe link, we can see it there. Pretty rough. Denny Hamlin fan said Hamlicker is saying he didn't know about Melon Master's position. You got to have awareness. I don't buy it. I think Denny Hamlin's just a jerk. You know, after last week taking his own driver out of the win, even though he was locked in, his driver wasn't. You know, we could be looking at a different scenario here. This would have been a cut line battle between 3 drivers, and Bubba Wallace would be in. But, you know, Hamlin, he can't see in front of it, you know, 2 feet out in front of his face. And it's just lack of awareness. Because if I was Hamlin, I see that position all day, because I don't want to race Joey in these next 2 rounds, or in this next round. You know, he's decent at Vegas and he's really good at Martinsville. I mean, you can say it's on his spotter and on his crew chief. You can put blame anywhere you want, but you know, that's on Hamlin. You know, he needs to be asking for, you know, information like that. You got to be aware of the playoff positions, you know, who you're running around. And if that's not something you're asking for, you know, so you can put them on it, all of them, you know, each of them as a group. Why would he? Because you, like I just said, Joey Logano is much better at these next few tracks than Ross Chastain is. I would, if Denny wants to win this year, if he wants this to be his year, you want to keep Joey out of this next round. So you want to know those running positions. You've heard it year after year. Guys over the radio will be getting live points updates of where other guys are running, how they should be running guys around them to affect the playoff, you know, running order. You know, it's just poor awareness by Denny Hamlin and his team. You know, that's where I stand on that. So let's see if we have... No, I don't think we have a replay of Dillon getting into the tire barrier, but that brought out our only caution for incident. And then on lap 65, Kyle Busch spins out Riley Herbst. Pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome. So Kyle Busch at this point was 8 laps down and ended up taking out Riley Herbst. Really no reason to do it. All right, there's our Austin Dillon incident. They don't actually have a replay of the wreck on here, but you can see quite a bit of damage there. Tire barrier was messed up. They had to throw the caution to repair the tire barrier. Yeah. Not sure we have a replay of the situation between Herbst and... Yeah, no replay of Herbst and Kyle Busch, but it was pretty awesome. Take my word for it. It doesn't matter that they're not manufacturer teammates, Hamlin. It doesn't matter. If you can't see that Joey Logano is a much higher threat, you know, than Chastain is, I can't help you. But, you know, to finish it out, the big story at the end was whether or not Ross would get in over Chastain. And at the end, like we're talking about here, Denny Hamlin ends up passing Chastain. That gives the tiebreaker to Joey Logano. Ross sends it into the last chicane and ends up taking out Hamlin and himself. Ends up crossing the finish line backwards, but 4 points below the cut line. So Joey Logano will move on to the next round, where I think he's a definite threat. You know, the one wild card is Talladega. That's to be expected. But Joey could lock himself in next week, and he could also, even if he has a horrible day at Vegas and Talladega, he has a great shot to win at Martinsville. Richard Crust just says Anna Kendrick. Oh, all right. All right. There we go. That's really the picture of the day. That's the picture of the day. And then SVG ends up taking our win. So let's look at our leaderboard here. Shane Van Gisbergen taking the win. You know, it's a great day all around. Other guys could get by him on restarts, could keep up on the short run, you know, 10 laps into a run. But after that, SVG's raw speed took over. And, you know, everybody came down at the end there to try to get fresh tires. You know, everybody that was running competitively, I should say, to try to make up time. And even on fresher tires, they couldn't make up enough time to get past SVG. 100% chance, Jerry, but I'm going to get off after the first game goes bad. Does that sound familiar? So third we have Christopher Bell. You know, this is kind of how our running order was all day. SVG, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell. You know, especially in the long run, this is how they shook out. Chris Buescher, good finish. He's a good road course racer. Solid day for Michael McDowell. He was always around 5th to 6th. Ryan Preece, 6th. 7th, Daniel Suarez. 8th, Chase Elliott. 9th, AJ Allmendinger. 10th, Tyler Reddick. He was kind of up and down throughout the day. 11th, William Byron. It's a much better finish than he deserved. Much better. He did not have a great day. And, you know, that there just hasn't been any momentum from that team there. Denny Hamlin fan, you're wrong again. You're wrong again. I'll explain why. NASCAR gives us this playoff format. They reward you for making crazy moves like this, and Ross had to. It would have been stupid to sit back there and just, you know, be okay with missing. He had to do that. And that's the position NASCAR puts the drivers in with this playoff format. It's the reason we got the Hail Melon. You know, that wouldn't have happened with just a normal points race. Dr. Derp says that was incredible. It was something. It was something. You know, Ross sent it in there, but ended up taking himself out as well. But he had to do it. You know, that's what this playoff system develops, and that's what it demands. Ty Gibbs, 12th. You know, really good finish for Ty Gibbs. Ryan Blaney, 13th. Chase Briscoe, 14th, doing just enough to move on. Bubba Wallace, 15th. I believe eliminated. 16th, Josh Berry. 17th, Todd Gilliland. 18th, Alex Bowman. They really didn't have pace the whole day. It was an awful day for Bowman. 19th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 20th, Joey Logano. This also doing just enough to make it in. He couldn't defend because he didn't have the tires. So his one shot there at the end was to wreck Hamlin. We'll take a look at the points here in just a second. We're in the middle of our race recap currently, and you know, after we get done with our results, we'll look over it. Speaking of, let's go ahead and move this to our results tab. Hamlin, not a great day, 23rd. 24th, Zane Smith. 25th, Justin Haley. 26th, John Hunter Nemechek. 27th, Ty Dillon. 28th, Noah Gragson. You know, this is kind of what we expect from Noah on a road course. 29th, Carson Hocevar. Not a great day. 30th, Riley Herbst. 31st, Eric Jones. 32nd, Austin Dillon. Even after all the contact he made with those with the tire barrier, you know, not the worst finish. Josh Bilicki, 33rd. 34th, Cody Ware. Quiet day for Cody. You know, he didn't, you know, cause a major accident. Kyle Busch. Well, Jamie, Kyle Busch isn't dead last, but, you know, very near. Down here, 35th. 9 laps off the pace. Breaking that toe link on lap 1. Pretty rough. Yes, Denny does advance. Denny easily advanced. And Denny Hamlin fan, your name implies your bias towards Denny. I get that. So we're not going to see eye to eye on this. That's how it breaks down. 36th, Brad Keselowski. And 37th, Austin Cindric. So Brad was having a decent enough day before his car shut off. So this is not how he was running. It's not indicative of how he was running. And, you know, once again, you know, he is the worst finishing RFK car. So disappointing. And Cindric getting taken out by Carson Hocevar. Not great. Jeffrey says victory lane. Kyle Larson wins Charlotte Roval. Kyle Larson, but he. Jeffrey, are you watching the same race that we're watching? Kyle Larson did not win the Charlotte Roval. Who had the fastest lap? I believe Tyler Reddick had the fastest lap. Last time I checked, Tyler Reddick did. And, you know, he's below the cut line, so that did not work out. All right, let's see if we have a look at our points here. Let's look at our Winston Cup points. All right, look at our Winston Cup points here. Christopher Roval having a pretty good day, stretching the gap over Chase Briscoe, I believe. Chase Elliott, 89 points back, so it's still, you know, a battle between these three. You know, mathematically, Larson and Byron probably still in it. Larson gaining a position, moving to 4th. Byron falling back, having a late season collapse here in terms of the full season points. Blaney 6th, 7th, Denny Hamlin, 278 points back. 8th, Tyler Reddick. 9th, Chris Buescher. And 10th, Joey Logano. So that's a look at our Winston Cup points, how it would run if they ran a full season. Let's see if Xfinity Racing has posted. They have not. So this is Ross taking out Denny. Ugly. I mean, that's what you have to do in this car, though. You know, the tires are so wide. If you don't commit vehicular manslaughter, you're not going to move the guy ahead of you. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Byron's team has not had speed. This was a close call. What could have been there? Come on. I need someone to post the points here. Joey advancing, just everyone posting that. They're always late to post the points. Let's see if NASCAR's website has it. I doubt it, but we'll see. Okay, they have updated. Let's go. NASCAR finally doing something. So look at our playoff standings. So Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Chase Briscoe, and Joey Logano moving on. I'll stand by this. It was a bad decision. A bad decision on Denny's part to let Joey Logano into this next round. And just missing out, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Tyler Reddick, and Austin Cindric. And it's really a self-inflicted wound for Ross Chastain. You know, 2 issues on pit road. 1, he just missed the exit to pit road, missed a ton of, dropped several positions. So And he had the speed. He had the speed if he had the track position to have made it. You know, he got stage points in stage 1 and stage 2, and he just fell off. Denny, you can talk about other people not winning the championship as soon as Denny Hamlin finally wins one. You know, he has to get the monkey off of his back. This year might be his year, but until he wins one, I'm going to make fun of him. Because he doesn't have a championship. He doesn't have a championship. It's been his curse. And, you know, we'll see if he can pull something off at Phoenix, if he can even make it. All it takes is a bad race at Talladega, and if you didn't win at Vegas or Martinsville, you're out. So, and that's what our playoff system does. And just Joey is so good at Martinsville. I could easily see him pointing his way in or just winning there. Don't like that call from Hamlin to let another Penske car into this second to last round. And the Penske cars were really good at the last flat track we went to. Phoenix is a pretty flat track. Yeah, Jamie, Joey is good at Vegas. It's not a good strategy call, but that's a look at our playoff points right here. Let me kill the brightness here a little bit. All right, ladies and gents, we'll move into the call-in portion. If anyone wants to call in and share your thoughts. You know, we have to do one call at a time. So if someone has already called and we are in the middle of a call, I will not be able to accept your call. Just keep that in mind.
And Bubba Wallace misses the transfer by 24 points. You guys needed a spectacular day. Fell a little bit short. Where was it missing here for you today?
Last week. Just was thrown for a loop with this team.
I hear Bubba talking right now. They're interviewing Bubba currently.
Look at
all right.
Myself
from
Denny,
Jamie.
A couple others at short tracks where
Jamie, welcome to the stream.
Grade, we're
Hey, I was going to say about Team Penske, you got Blaney and Logano, two former champions. That makes up 1/4 of the 8 left.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to beat either one of them?
You know, it's going to be tough because the Hendrick guys just haven't had the speed. I mean, I guess Larson's been running a little better. But, you know, the Penske guys, they're good at Vegas. We know that. The Fords have an advantage pushing. And Blaney's really good at Talladega. So, you know, look out for them at Talladega as well if they can avoid the big one. And then at Martinsville, they're good. Both Blaney and Logano. So I think they're a pretty good threat to both make it in.
Are you ready? I'll leave with this question. Are you ready to make a Final Four prediction?
Oh, not at all. I mean, the playoffs are so unpredictable. You could have one of the favorites. You could have Bell. You could have Blaney. You could have Larson just come out and have a parts failure, break a toe link off some stupid contact next week, and be at a hole at Talladega, get wrapped up in the big one. You know, so I'm not sure who will make it to the next round. I feel good about the Penske guys. You know, Hamlin's run pretty well all season. So, you know, maybe look for him. And really the only Hendrick guy that looks like he has enough speed right now to make it is Larson. So we'll see how that goes. It could end up being a Toyota Ford Final Four, to be honest.
You're right. You're right. Well, I appreciate the call, taking a call, and I hope you have a great day, sir.
Thank you. You too, Jamie. Always good to hear from you.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
I mean, everybody has off races, Hamlin fan. Everyone has off races. But, I mean, by and large, Denny's had a pretty good year. You know, not every race has been fantastic. But, you know, what I mean by that really is he's won at different points throughout the year. You know, like Bell, he had 3 at the start of the season. And then at the towards the end of the year, you know, he has this 1 win. And he's been running a little better. but he had a really cold spell. And Byron, good start to the year, ran really consistently until kind of the halfway point in the summer stretch, and then he's fallen off. So Reddick did not move on, I don't believe. Yes, Tyler Reddick missing there by 29 points. See it to that direction. There it is. 29 points. Tyler Reddick just missing the cut line. I mean, not just. I mean, he missed it by a pretty wide margin. But it's disappointing because I believe he would be 8th in the season-long standings, He's run better than this throughout the year, so it is crazy to see some really competitive guys get taken out. Austin Cindric's not in that conversation. Poor Austin Cindric. Jeffrey says, tell official Kyle Larson win. Charlotte Roval saw that. I like him. Kyle Larson win. Go office. Kyle Larson win. Okay. I have a feeling you're voice typing and it's not coming through with what you actually want to say. Am I going to accept your call? I'm not on Discord. I'm on Google Voice. I didn't see you had just called. I only have Google Voice open at the moment. Imagine if Joey gets his 4th championship. He just might. He just might. If you'd like to call on Discord, I just opened it. But I'll have to get that set up as well. Juggling so many tabs. I need another monitor. It says, if someone would like to call in on Discord, feel free to call in now. Or you can call in at the number on the screen. It'll just take me a second to set everything back up. You just lost a tooth? How about that? How about that? Yeah, Double A, you can just call in directly if you're interested. Hamlin Finn says he has a tooth that's very loose. Interesting. All right, I see you, Johnson Finn. Johnson Fan, welcome to the stream. Right, give me one moment. I need to make sure this is set up. Thought I had it. All right, try it now.
Okay.
All right, you're clear. Yes, you are on the stream.
Okay. The playoffs are dumb, but that was a good finish, so I'm going to say the playoffs are good for now.
That's exactly the reaction I feel like a lot of people are going to have. I think you're spot on because, the race for the lead wasn't close, but it was crazy watching the cut line. And that's, why some people like the playoffs, is because it does lead to these crazy moments. But at the cost of, I think it cheapens the championship at the end of the year. But it did make for an entertaining finish. Ross wouldn't have done that for, 7th in points if it was a season-long thing. He did it because he was about to miss the cut line.
Yeah, that is the only good thing, in my opinion, about the playoffs. Because I don't feel like I bet this is going to happen to either Corey Heim or Connor Zilic, but one of them is going to, have some issue and not going to do good, even though they won, 75% of races in that Final Four race at Phoenix.
Yeah, it would be extremely disappointing if Heim or Zilic didn't get their championship. Extremely and it's very possible because it's 4 guys, and it's just whoever wins that one race. So if somebody takes them out, or if Zilic or Heim run into an issue, a parts failure, anything, they lose the championship that should be theirs.
Yeah, that if that happens, there would be a lot of backlash towards NASCAR, and I bet they would probably change it, though.
Yeah, it would definitely put pressure on them for a change. But, and it would just be a heartbreaker to win that many races. And I think Corey Heim, not this, following week, but the week at Talladega, if he finishes like 29th or better in that truck race, he would have clinched if it was a full season points format. So he would clinch with 2 races to go. And but in this playoff format, he may lose it.
He could. He very could.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on today's race, or perhaps our championship outlook?
So I have an answer for both.
Awesome.
Someone's got to put something in is SVG's cart, because I mean, it would be cool to have a new record for most consecutive road courses past Jeff Gordon, but like he's gotten too good. What happened to the old days where anyone could win a race, especially a road course? And like I feel like he's just too good for road courses.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not he can figure out ovals before the field figures out how he's so good. Because, I mean, he's better in the braking zones. He's better at making his tires last. And it never looks like he's giving 110%. I mean, he's just easy riding around. And it's dominant. It's just flat out dominant. And, like, you kind of have to appreciate it. Like, wow, it is really impressive. But it doesn't make for the most entertaining event.
Yeah. So far, my playoff pick was Joey Logano, and so far, so good.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like
he did just enough to make it in today.
Yeah. Even Ross Chastain killing Hamlin, but I feel like Ryan Blaney will 100%, in my opinion, win at Martinsville. But
I think that's a good
then
pick.
he's gonna. Yeah, something's gonna happen. It's too early. It's just crazy to think how much the playoffs is changing at this point right now. It's like so hard to pick someone that might win a championship, especially with there being 4 drivers that could win it eventually.
Yeah, and it seems like guys don't stay hot like week to week like they used to. Used to, guys would go and win maybe 3 races in a row, and maybe do that a couple times throughout the year. Or at least, have, a 8-race stretch where they're top 5 every time. You don't see a lot of that now. You'll have a guy that finishes well a couple weeks, and then in the next week they're 20th. So it's hard to predict.
That's kind of the same with Farson.
Yes.
He was doing very good, but now he's not.
Yes. And, like you said, I think Blaney's an interesting pick, because Blaney is a threat to win the next 3 weeks. Because he is, he's decent at Vegas. All of Penske is, except for, I guess, Cendric. And he's good at Talladega. He's shown he can get it done time and time again. He's just always there at the end somehow at Talladega. And then he's decent at Martinsville. So, they're definitely threats.
Yeah.
Jamie
like
said,
we saw last year at Talladega, it's anyone's race. Anyone can win it. As we saw, biggest crash in recent Cup history happened, and Ricky Stenhouse took it out. He wasn't even a factor for the playoffs. So anyone can win it. That's just a surprise race.
It would be interesting to see if a non-playoff driver wins one of the next few, especially Talladega would be a great opportunity. But I mean, imagine one of the playoff drivers getting robbed of, locking themselves in because of a guy like, a Ricky Stenhouse getting the win. That'd be pretty wild.
Yeah. Ricky Stenhouse did not, in fact, Stenhouse that day.
Yeah, he didn't. It definitely always a threat at Talladega. And, Ricky also comes out of nowhere, not as often as Blaney, but just somehow it's always the wild races. He shows up at the very end. It's like, where'd this guy come from? And then the other time he's, wrecking. So it's like 50-50 for Stenhouse.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to share, or is that it for today?
I feel like that's it for today. Thank you for having me, AZ.
For sure. Always good to have you, man. And congrats on losing a tooth. Get some tooth fairy money.
Yep. Yep. I didn't want it hurting mid call, so I just pulled it out like last second.
That's crazy. Good job.
All right, road to 20K, AZ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. If someone else would like to call in through our phone number or through Discord, feel free, and we'll take your call. Double A posted the round of 8 points in the Discord, so let's take a look at that if we can. So as they run round of 8, this is what Double A posted in the Discord. Denny Hamlin 8 points above. He's leading currently. Ryan Blaney second. Third, Kyle Larson. Fourth, William Byron, tied with Kyle Larson. And then below the cut line, 4 points below, Christopher Bell. Sixth, Chase Briscoe. Seventh, Chase Elliott. They're both 14 points below the cut line, Briscoe and Elliott. And eighth, Joey Logano, 24 points below the cut line. So it's not a huge gap. You know, any of these drivers could just have a good 2 stages at Vegas and make those points up. But, you know, we have that wild card, Dega. So that could make things very wild. Thank you for posting that, Double A. Let's take a look towards next week while we're waiting if anyone wants to call in. So next week we have the Focused Health 302 from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. That's for the Xfinity race. Excuse me, they have it listed as October 4th right now. They need to update that. That should be on October 11th. So this next weekend, October 11th. And let me double check and see what time this race is, because now I don't trust J-Ski because they have the date wrong. They're killing me here. Schedule. Las Vegas, it'll be at 7:30 Eastern Saturday. You know, on the CW. You know, we know where to expect the Xfinity races. We should be live for that. And then the South Point 400. Be next Sunday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, just confirming that through the app. And, you know, we'll see how this one goes. It'll be a later race for those of us on the East Coast and Central Time, but it should be a good one. We'll see how that goes. You know, like Jamie said earlier, the Penske guys are really good at Vegas. You know, Pennzoil is, I think, the sponsor of the spring race. So, you know, Joey always pulls out a special scheme when they're in Vegas. And I think Blaney's also pretty decent there. Josh Berry showed he had speed, even though he's out of it. So the Penske guys have a pretty positive outlook for next week. And, you know, during this, the trucks will be off. So the next time we see the trucks will be Friday. Interesting. I may have to sneak down there for that truck race. I wouldn't be able to stream it, but Friday race. Maybe try it out. We'll see. Maybe I can get you guys some content live from the track. I don't know if I would have great service there, though. But maybe I'll look into that in a couple weeks. Jamie said Denny should write a book titled 40 Ways to Lose a NASCAR Cup Series Championship. He definitely could at this point. He definitely could. 2 of the last 3 years, Joey has won in this Vegas race to lock in. Dude, that is a great stat line, Double A. Dude, Double A. With the crazy stat line. I mean, that's a great point. That's a great point. And that just validates what Jamie said, what I've thought. You know, and, you know, he's a threat at Martinsville, too, I believe. And if he works together with his teammate Blaney, you know, never know. Maybe they could have a good run at Talladega. I think Joey's a little reckless at Talladega, but, you know, you kind of have to be with this next-gen car to make passes, even on the plate tracks. Jeffrey says no championship. Kyle Larson wins Charlotte Roval victory lane. I'm happy for you, Jeffrey. I'm happy for you. All right. So that's a little look at next week. SVG there in victory lane. How about that? How about that? Some other news. Let's look at some other stories here. Chad Knaus named the 2025 Smokey Unique Award recipient. One of NASCAR's most successful crew chiefs, Hendrick Motorsports Vice President of Competition, Chad Knaus. Let's see, what's this award for? Exceptional innovation and made a major impact on the world of motorsports. Interesting. And let's see an update on Tyler Reddick's kid. I clicked on a story of his kid, and it's just showing me that he got the pole. Okay, no, I clicked on the wrong one. Roval Trophy's a nod to Charlotte Crown. Oh, Queen City. That's right. That's right. I saw an ad for Queen City the other day, encouraging tourism for Charlotte. All right, Alexa posted an update to Instagram. Rookie has a tumor that's choking the renal vein and renal arteries, so the kidneys, I'm guessing. Telling the heart, hey, I'm not getting enough blood pump harder, causing the enlarged heart. He will need the entire kidney removed as it's not believed to be functioning any longer. He'll undergo open surgery to remove his right kidney. He's not sure waiting is okay. Oh, that's horrible. That's rough, but at least they know what the issue is. That's always the toughest part, is trying to find out what's wrong, what the issue is. I was still waiting. If anybody wants to call in through Discord or Google Voice, now is your time. And you can call in that number that's on screen. But until then, we'll keep reviewing some stories. Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. Jared, thank you. Thank you so much. I was wearing my Folgers hat, my Tim Richmond hat earlier, but it's a little hotter. So I ended up taking it off, switching out for this one. It's a much lighter hat. This was pretty big news. NBCSN relaunching. So USA is being spun off to its own company away from NBC, and NBCSN is back. So potentially they may move the races back to NBCSN next season. So make sure your cable package has it if you want to watch those races. And, you know, maybe possibly they can put some races back on Peacock. The NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series returns to NASCAR Hall of Fame for 2025 finale. When is that? Tuesday, October 7th. So coming up. So if you guys are interested in watching the iRacing stuff, the iRacing NASCAR League, tune in October 7th. It'll be live on YouTube and Twitch. It's a pretty good day, Jared. Pretty good day. Steven Mercer said Shane Van Roadcourse. That definitely should be his name. Hamlin fan just said steakhouse. Very simple. So Hamlin fan, you know, we've been talking up these Penske guys. I'll throw you a bone here. I was at the spring race, and Hamlin had one of the better cars, if not the best car. But his pit crew let him down by not filling his car full of fuel. Jamie, yeah, Vegas is next Sunday. That is correct. That is our next Cup race. 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And the Xfinity race will be Saturday at 7:30 Eastern. So pretty late race for the Xfinity Series. No truck race next week. The next truck race will be at Talladega. I have not seen Roadhouse. I don't believe. But yeah, Hamlin may have a good run at Talladega. If they can bring, you know, a similar car to what they had in the spring, maybe look for Hamlin to do pretty well. You know, his pit crew just let him down. And that happened a couple races earlier this year, is his pit crew just not not having a great pit cycle, not getting enough fuel in the car. I don't know, did someone get disqualified Megadeth, or is that just a reference to last year? That is pretty hilarious. Let's see if Jeff Gluck's posted anything. Getting ready to record the teardown. NASCAR's final 8 drivers this season mark a clean sweep for the big 3 organizations. Hendrick 3, JGR 3, Penske 2. Joey said Ross's move in the final chicane was the result of a wicked playoff system. Joey Logano is my new favorite driver. What a genius. What a genius. Zilich or SVG better? That'll be interesting. When they've gone head-to-head in the Cup Series. Not Cup Series. When they've gone head-to-head in Xfinity. Zilich has run better, in my opinion. Need to fix my chroma key. Got a lot darker really quickly. That would be insane if SVG got disqualified, but I don't see anything about it, so... Adding to the lip reading from Noah Lewis here, just tell me what the points are. From this and his interview, it seems like Denny genuinely didn't know what was at stake with Chastain before and after he passed him. I'm sure there'll be some combos this week. So, you know, I guess it's on Denny's team. I guess Denny feels like his team kind of let him down there. I'm thinking Denny would have kept Logano out of the next round if he knew. I mean, that's what this reaction tells me, but I mean, he could just be kind of giving off a different reaction here intentionally. Jeff Gluck's a great follow. Good follow. The Hamlicker, it looks like he's disappointed with his team, not updating him on the points. He looks pretty animated there. He seems more disappointed about keeping Joey out of the playoffs than he was his own driver not locking in last week. Yeah, no, it's the playoff system. If Denny, I haven't heard that Denny said that, but that's pretty respectable. You know, if you're gonna live by the sword, you got to die by the sword, and you know, it seems like a lot of drivers have kind of made their peace. They're like, yeah, the playoffs lead to some stupid stuff. I have not watched any football today. I might watch the Sunday Night Football here. I've kept up with the scores. You know, I kept up with Indy's score. That was pretty fun. And I was getting updates from the Broncos game. I saw that they won. All right, let's see. Bob Hawkris. Do you have anything for us, Bob? Any news? And if anyone wants to call in, we still have a little time left, so feel free to call in. If not, we'll wrap things up here shortly. Bubba's initial comments in the media center about talking to Denny Hamlin today about the finish last week. That was posted yesterday. Cut points reset, Hamlin +8, Blaney +6, Larson +4. It's exactly what we looked at earlier through Discord. Double A sent us that. Yeah, in retrospect, I usually have the CBS game running on my television, and I just forgot today. Just slipped my mind. Jamie said many fans didn't see Joey making the playoffs. Underestimate slice spread at your own peril. Yeah, Penske just turns it up in the playoffs. They do, other than Austin Cindric. He doesn't count. But definitely Blaney and Logano just reach for an extra gear, like Fast and Furious. They're just like shifting 7 times. They just gain this speed. They just gain this competitiveness. And it really just feels like they're sandbagging in the regular season. Jared said the Lions are winning against the Bengals. That sucks. Sucks for the Bengals. You know, with not that the Lions are winning, it sucks. I'm just saying the fact that Joe Burrow's injured, the fact that the Bengals exist, you know, They're a horrible franchise. You have potentially one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and you put him behind that offensive line so he gets injured every other season. Horrible. Yes, Jeffrey, that's exactly right. I definitely know what you mean. That is a good point. I would not have thought of that, Jeffrey. Broke a rear axle. Okay. The broadcast booth said it was a power issue, but they're saying he broke a rear axle. That's a good looking car, though. The Castrol cars are so good looking. All right. If there's anything else you guys want to discuss, you can call in or you can mention it in the chat now. If not, we'll wrap things up here in just a moment. We've been live for 51 minutes so far. Jamie says, I wonder if the drivers remaining, which are, ooh, it's the Rookie of the Year battle. Okay, we don't have a current page for it. All right, who was in it? Oh my goodness. I think we have a clear winner. This is our, so this is about a month old now. Jamie, that's a great question there. Look at this. Shane Van Gisbergen, 2,086 points. Riley Herbst, 358 points. Almost 2,000 below SVG. That's our battle for the Rookie of the Year. Not even close. Not even close. That is wild stuff. Wild stuff. Jeffrey says, no next week, no Las Vegas, no playoffs, no championship. Kyle Larson win Charlotte Roval Victory Lane Trophy officially. Interesting, Jeffrey. Interesting. Michael says Las Vegas Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, and Sunday, 5:30 Eastern. That's right. That's right. No truck race next week, so we're going to miss our trucks, but the next 3 races after that will all be triple headers, so that should be fun. Yeah, it is really odd that this is SVG's rookie year because he was around 2 seasons before this, but he didn't run enough races to lose his rookie status. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Michael. Definitely locked up. All right, let's see what everyone's saying. We'll just search NASCAR. Bang. What are the top tweets here? That's a beautiful image. This should have been our post-race thumbnail. If I had had this image, this would have been it. That's beautiful. It seemed like he was on the rev limiter there. You can't see it, but Hamlin's also in reverse coming across the line. The Roval provides some weird endings because of that front stretch chicane. SVG wins the Roval by 15.1 seconds, his 5th consecutive road course win. First driver since Bobby Allison, 1982, to win multiple races in a season by over 15 seconds. How about that? I think we can reverse course and build back the NASCAR we like. To win the hobby, change the hobby. Instead of drivers settling for good points days, which is incredible and overblown, we need to get guys junking each other for 18th and crossing the finish line in reverse. If you like this, you're part of the problem. That's a hilarious way to put it. Michael said nobody can catch SVG in Rookie of the Year. Yeah, there's SVG would still win it even if he died. I mean, that's a horrible thing to say, but even if we did, worst case scenario, SVG would still win Rookie of the Year, which is wild. Queen City Conqueror, SVG. We can't keep letting these foreigners get away with it. We need Americans winning an American sport. I guess SVG is an honorary American now. Didn't he get citizenship? He established dual citizenship this year, maybe? Good for him. Good for him. Welcome to the country. This is a post from Michael. Want to see more cars facing the wrong direction on track? I learned how the insane how insane the penalties are on NASCAR 08. Michael, great content there from Michael. Always entertaining. Very high energy. Win probability and turns. That's SVG's win chances. So 1 turn, 2 turns, 3 turns, 4 turns, and then it goes off the charts. That's great. That's a funny post from NASCAR Chasm. That is a great image there. What is Daryl doing? Yeah, America. That's right, Hamlet fan. Jamie says lives on Lake Norman, less than 30 miles from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Would have went, but have to work in 40 minutes. Yep, that's how it goes, Jamie. I've worked weekends for years. You gotta burn that weekend oil. Yeah, I hope you have a good shift, man. Make it through the night. And the winter's coming. The night shifts during the winter are different. You know, it's just dark the whole time. Just pitch black. Yeah, Daryl's wild. I don't know if Daryl knows what he's doing. He's deleted all of his... Good post. Daryl deleted all his posts off Twitter. So he's like done with social media. Seems like he's kind of bowed out of the spotlight. Gary Owen, my favorite genre of NASCAR road course racing this year is Cup regulars hustling and beating on SVG while he's just cruising. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. What a race. Awesome to see Logano advance with people booing. Man, I love this motorsport. How about that? I guess that's an NXT person, I'm guessing. Yeah, you have a championship belt there. Is that the TNA championship? Yeah. And you guys watch wrestling. Know what the TNA championship is. Wild stuff. Usually jonesing for NASCAR in the winter. We'll be streaming plenty of... I thought it was Trick. The, whoop that Trick. Yeah, we'll be streaming plenty of NASCAR in the winter. And we'll be keeping our eye on... you know, the off-season news, so we may go live here and there or record some videos, post some stuff throughout the off-season. But yeah, the whole time during the off-season, I'll be looking forward to the Rolex 24 and then what little of Speed Week we get now. Used to we had Speed Weeks. Now we have Speed Week, singular. And maybe I'll try to make my way down to the 24. We'll see. Ashley, Carson Hocevar might genuinely be one of the worst road course racers I've ever seen. How about that? How about that? Tyler Reddick with some long hair, crazy hair. Jamie said Joey should thank Hamlin at the banquet for his 4th championship. That would be hilarious. And that, you know, those are kind of our 2 villains. You know, even though Joey's a nice guy off the track, you know, on the track, he races pretty aggressive when he's competitive. So, you know, those are our 2 guys that people like to root against, Hamlin and Logano. So that would be a funny jab. Kyle used to be in that conversation, but you have to be competitive to be a villain. Michael Turner says he misses old Speed Weeks. Me too, buddy. Me too. Ross Chastain is always making NASCAR ad pages to the rulebook about how you're allowed to finish a race. That's right. Let's look at our reverse ending. Just lost it. Just lost it. Caution Hocevar. I've heard that name so many times. When I say Carson's name, sometimes I accidentally say Caution Hocevar. Jamie said 2026 Rolex 24 marks 60 years since Team Penske's first race. Interesting. Interesting. But going to the Rolex is really cool because it's not crazy expensive compared to the, you know, Daytona 500. You get 4 days of access, like I think maybe even 5. Wednesday to Sunday, or it might be Thursday to Sunday. But anyway, you get several days of access. You get garage access. You can actually go talk to the teams and the drivers. It's very cool. And with some tickets, they even feed you while you're at the track. Unlimited food and drinks in a buffet setting. So very nice stuff with the Rolex 24. Maybe one day I'll try to get down there. All right, ladies and gents. I'll give you guys another minute or two if someone wants to call in. You have some time here. If not, we will end the stream. Good talking to you guys. Michael says get rid of the playoffs. A lot of people are going to be hyping up the playoffs, I think, because of this finish. They're going to say, look, this finish, this crazy, result of Ross here, that wouldn't happen in a full season championship. It would have been a boring race, but the playoffs saved it. You're going to hear that. We do have a call on Google Voice. Give me just a second. All right, give me just one moment. All right, you are live.
Hello, how's it going?
Going pretty well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Good to join your show. Enjoyed last week. I had to call in again this week.
Yes, sir. Good to hear from you.
Oh, appreciate that.
So what's on your mind today?
Well, of course, with the playoffs, you always get it to be an interesting race, and today did not disappoint. There were so many headlines. I mean, where do we start? I mean, from it looked like Demolition Derby round 2 to going backwards across the finish line, which I was like, reminded me of Talladega Nights. And I was just like, wow, it's been a while since I've seen someone go across backwards. I mean, first we got the wall, but now you got this. I'm like, let's just bring out Talladega Nights Part 2.
Yeah, Ross Chastain always involved in these crazy, last-second attempts to make the playoffs. This time it didn't work out for him. But yeah, definitely a Talladega Nights-like finish.
No, it didn't, but you got to admire the fight in him, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of laughed that it was Denny that he got. I'm like, just another round because them two just do not like each other, but sorry, Denny, more karma coming back at you. I mean, just more checks getting cashed.
Yeah, it seems like, Denny, if he had known, what it seems like, if he had known, maybe he would have let Ross continue, because personally, I think Logano's a bigger threat than Ross is. But, it is hilarious that it does end up being Hamlin, because he took out his own driver last week. This week, he's getting taken out.
Right. Like I said, another example of karma. But yes, I do agree Logano is the bigger threat, because, 3-time champion. Don't count Chastain out. Before you know it, he's going to get him a championship. He's just got some stuff he's got to clean up, though. That's for sure. And he could have been above Logano, but he shot himself in the foot today, especially with that speeding penalty on pit road. He should have known better than that.
Speeding penalty and just missing the exit of pit road. So 2 big issues on pit road.
Oh, yeah, I saw that with missing it, and I'm like, I understand, every driver's going to make their mistakes, but I'm like, come on, Ross. It's not like you're a rookie here.
Mm-hmm. At most, he would have lost 1 position to slow down and make that corner, but instead he lost like 10 positions there. That was rough.
Yeah, that was rough, and I'm like, because Chastain had it if he would have kept running his race at that point to beat Logano for that final spot, but, he's going to look back. I'm like, you just shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, Ross had top 10 speed all day. The reason he fell off there at the end was just because, he had stayed out on really old tires. If he didn't have those pit road mistakes, you're exactly right. He probably has a top 10 finish, if not near the top 5.
Oh, yeah. He had the speed all day long. It's just, not only do you have to run good on the track, but, it's pit road that can cost you. And, that's just a classic example of it with today's race.
And, that just, that's not something that would really matter as much in a full season, points thing. But with these playoffs, one mistake on pit road can take you out of it. I was mentioning earlier in the spring race, Hamlin looked like he had one of the faster cars, if not the car to beat, working with his teammates. But his team didn't put enough fuel in the car, and that cost him the race. And if that happens again in this round, that might eliminate somebody.
Oh, absolutely. Which is why, I mean, one thing I think is that I wish we would go back to the old system where it was based on points and you didn't have these stages and all that, because when it was just about the points and let the drivers race, I mean, you still had some exciting finishes and stuff. And I would really like if we tried the old system, because it would really let them go race, which is why we watch in the first place.
I think they could go back to the old system, maybe with some changes if they do want to reward wins more. No win and you're in, obviously, because we wouldn't have playoffs, but maybe give them 10, 20 extra points per win if they want to make winning mean more. Maybe keep the stages, but don't throw a caution, because
right. I mean,
that would reward running consistently throughout the race, and you would still award the stage points, but these cautions take too long. Even like at a track like Bristol, running 10 to 15 laps under caution. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, especially on these road courses,
yes.
And like you said, Bristol, I mean, that just takes so much. People are like, oh, that doesn't take much from a driver. Actually, yes, it does, because, not only physically, but mentally. And if you just, like you said, if you just added like 10, 20 points, and do the stages, but eliminate the caution, except for when there's a crash or debris or something that deems a caution, then I think that would be a good adjustment.
It would be nice to see it, at least, like you said, for the road courses, because a big part of road course racing is the strategy. And when you have these built-in guaranteed cautions, it kind of kills that and it limits what the teams can do.
Yeah, it's like a momentum killer, and that's not cool. That's why let the crew chiefs do what they do. Let them strategize. Don't take that away from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to win that battle, but there is a rumor that we may be going to full season points. NASCAR has considered it. So maybe we see that next year. They said they're not going to announce next year's point format until after the championship week. So, but we should be seeing that within the next month.
And, and that makes sense. And I get why NASCAR is doing that, so that way the drivers that are in the round of 8, that way they can focus on what they need to do and everything. But I think that would be good if we go back to that. I think it would bring back a lot of fans from when I was watching as a kid, because I keep in touch with some fans that don't watch anymore, and I'm trying to recruit them back to the sport. And they said, if we went back to the old system, we would return and watch again. And that's at least 10 to 20 people of more fans we would have back that I know of.
Yeah, I've talked to so many people that used to keep up throughout the 90s, early 2000s, and they just say, well, about this time I stopped watching. When so-and-so retired, when Dale Sr. died, that's when I stopped watching. And I think a part of the problem is just, they just stopped watching. When you leave a sport for a while and then you try to get back into it and you don't know the drivers, you don't know the teams, you don't really have a connection. So if NASCAR can bring some of these people back by going to a full season points or by increasing the horsepower, doing something, maybe we can bring back some interest, getting them actually back into watching weekly.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I'm trying to do. And the fans that I know that have not been watching lately, like one of the guys I work with, he goes, I haven't watched since Dale Jr. retired, so I've been keeping him up to speed. And, and so, I get that. And because there's a lot of people that, especially when Dale Sr., when that happened, that they just went away from the sport. A lot of people say that's the day that NASCAR died.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely that, a day that NASCAR changed, but, I'd like to think NASCAR is still, got more left in the tank. I try to stay optimistic when I can, but, sometimes like with the playoff system, I just have to say, like, I'm not a fan of this, or like the next gen car in the dirty air, not a fan of that. But, I hope we have better things in store.
Oh, I feel like we do. And like I was watching on Netflix today before today's race, they have that live speed show that shows the 2023 and 24 playoffs, like the inside from the driver's perspective. If you've never watched that show on Netflix, I mean, it's pretty cool. And I hope they keep that going. But just to see, the drivers and their families, and it's just incredible for sure. But I'm excited about the round of 8 and the drivers that are in it for the round of 8 for sure. I mean, if you look in that list, I mean, any driver in the round of 8 can take it this year.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree, and I think it's gonna be 3 fun tracks. Las Vegas is a pretty fun track, 1.5. We might see some dirty air there, but there should be a few lanes to pass. A few grooves. Talladega is Talladega, and then Martinsville being a short track. They've had some issues there with the next gen car, but again, it is a short track, so there is potential for some craziness, some chaos. So I'm pretty excited about this next round.
I am too, and my favorite driver, he's won at 2 of these 3 tracks. I feel good about his chances. Chase Elliott, I mean, because he won at Talladega in the playoffs in 22, and then he's won at Martinsville, the year he won his championship in 2020 to get into the championship force. So, and then another good driver in this round I like, Ryan Blaney. I mean, look what he's done the last 2 years to get in the championship 4. He won Martinsville 2 years in a row. So could he do it again? Absolutely, he could.
It's kind of an outside shot. You say like any of these guys in the championship 8 could win it. I think one of the outside guys maybe would be Briscoe, because one of his best tracks is Phoenix. And so if somehow, through a matter of other guys wrecking or him just getting good finishes or whatever, if he could make it to Phoenix, he might be a threat. Might be.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because he's in better equipment, and I mean, he's been like Chase, where he's just run consistent all year long. And when you run consistent, I mean, you're going to be there when it matters, and you're going to get the good finishes when you don't make the mistakes, and when you just run consistent, run your race. And yes, think run-ins are going to happen with other drivers, but you try to limit that the best that you can and everything, and how you race other people when it comes back to when it matters most. That's when usually they want to cash the checks if you've done them dirty.
Yeah, it's like definitely interesting. You say like Briscoe's been really consistent, and like Chase Elliott in the full season points, pull it up on screen right here. Briscoe's 55 points below Bell, so in striking distance. Elliott's 89, so also in striking distance. They've run very consistent years, not the hottest years, but, they still have some wins between the two. And I think the second half of the year, Briscoe's really, grown to be comfortable with the JGR equipment. I think the start of the year was a little slower for them, but he's had a really good second half.
Yeah, he really has. And like you said, I mean, when you're adjusting to new equipment, yes, there's going to be that, what do you call, the growing pains break-in period, of course. But yeah, I mean, once you hone in and you get comfortable, then the rest of the field better watch out. I mean, because JGR has good equipment, and they are the best Toyota team as far as I'm concerned. If not, I mean, as far the top 3 teams in NASCAR right now in the Cup, to me, is Penske, Hendrick, and Joe Gibbs Racing, hands down. That's your top 3 right there. It's like the AL East with the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Red Sox, if you will. That's what we're, going with here.
Yeah, and, that makes up our whole top 8. So, I mean, like you say, they're all in good equipment. One of the guys I think I'm most worried about is Byron, because he ran so good the first 60% of the year, and he's just kind of fallen off lately. Just a lot of bad runs, no matter what kind of track they go to. He got lucky last week getting a top 10.
Right, he did. And, I've noticed that too. He just is, it's like the first 60% of the year, I mean, he was there every time. I mean, at Darlington, he led, a record 200-something laps, like we talked about last week. But, in this second half of the year, it's like, I mean, I'm not doubting his driving, but it's like, it's either one thing or another. It's sort of like the Denny Hamlin effect, if you will. I mean, I hate to put it that way, but, and by the way, Denny Hamlin, my favorite driver, beat you today, so that's always good.
Yeah, Denny had a pretty bad day, to be honest. But,
because he was 23rd, and I mean, it's just, I was paying attention, and it's just like, okay, at some point he's going to get it going because, this last couple, he's been able to figure the Roval out and start running a little bit better and everything, but he just couldn't get going today.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting to see that. We know Denny he had pace in the spring at Talladega, and I think he probably has enough speed to run competitive at Las Vegas. We'll see how he deals with Martinsville, but maybe this is Denny's year. But time after time we see the curse jump up and bite him. So maybe that's coming.
Right. I mean, like you said, Denny, he's a threat to win at every track you go to. It's just like any driver, if you have to have so many things go your way. And I think one of the biggest things with Denny over the years that's really haunted him is it's been pit road. I mean, as long as he can control the stuff he can control, like, getting good pit stops, not, no speeding penalties, things like that. And then he just does what he does on the track, then he can definitely make a run. But if he gets any missteps, then you're like, okay, here we go again. But it's like, I still remember in it was either 17 or 18 when him and Elliott got into it at Martinsville. Mm-hmm. And then the next week later, Elliott repaid the favor. But I like in his interview, he said, I'm happy to race guys the way they race me, with a smile on my face while I'm doing it.
That was, I remember that clear as day. That was wild. I think Denny needed security to get out because I think some guy tried to fight him, a random fan after that race. That was wild.
Oh yeah, I remember that for sure. And I still remember, one of the lines, he goes, "A dirty veteran, learn how to drive." I'm like, the guy kind of had a point with what he said there, but was he right about how he went about it? No way. You just don't do that. But, and then another place of poor sportsmanship, if we're talking about Martinsville, you got to go back to 21 when Bowman actually got into Hamlin. That was pure accidental. And, Bowman won the race, and then Hamlin tries to mess with him right there. And I don't know if you've seen in the reel, but someone threw a beer at Hamlin's window and it bounced off and hit the track. I thought that was hilarious.
But I think that's good for the sport to have so many people root against. For years it was Busch. People loved to hate on Kyle Busch. And now that Kyle's not running competitive, we need somebody to step up and be the bad guy. So, Denny's trying to.
If you want the three bad guys right now, actually four. If we're going to list four bad guys, I would say, of course, Hamlin, Logano, and then also, let's see, Caution. Carson Hocevar, but that's what I call him. And then also Ross Chastain or Melon Man.
Yeah, Ross is kind of mellowed out, but there's something about the playoffs when that playoff air is out there, when he's breathing playoff air cutoff line, he just goes crazy. And I'll go back to 2022 with the ride in the wall. When I was watching that, I'm like, did that just happen? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy stuff. But I like seeing that as far as guys that are willing to be a little more aggressive, guys that are willing to take risks, because somebody has to be out here trying to make these moves. And the next gen car just makes it harder to make bump and runs and stuff happen. So when you need a Hail Mary, you really have to commit fully. And Ross tried today. It just fell a little short.
Just a little short, but I give him an A for effort, that's for sure.
Yes.
One thing I think is definitely funny, like that NASCAR Full Speed Netflix, if you watch season 2 in it, when they show the Martinsville race, I think it's funny, Christopher Bell, somebody that, he's in the round of 8, but he tried, I guess, on the wall a little bit. And, when he got eliminated and Byron got to go to the championship 4, he acted like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, well, yeah, you did, because after, Ross Chastain pulled that video game move, they called all the drivers into that meeting, including you, Boring Bell. And, everybody agreed to, including you. So, what you should have done in that case, get your car off the darn wall and then hit the gas. I'm like, or do you just not have any skills?
Yeah, it was from what I can remember, it was really like controversial because not only did Bell ride the wall there, you know, just gassed it up after he wrecked or something happened. I forget what it was, but he ended up riding the wall. And then I think it was maybe Denny was manipulating the race, was blocking somebody. So there was one of his teammates was manipulating the race.
Yeah.
I forget who it was.
I think so, but what caused Bell's thing right there, where he kind of had a little bit, his team come over and said he had to at least pass Bubba Wallace, the 23.
That was it.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah, and so he got a little light contact in the rear, and I get it. He saved it, but hit the wall. But then what you should have done is turn the wheel. As long as you would have got the wall and then hit the gas, you could have made up that space easily without doing the wall riding. So,
yeah, I mean, desperation. You know, as if we look at our full season points, I mean, Bell has the most currently, but going into this next round, you know, he needs to prove that he can get it done this year. Maybe he won't get DQ'd at Martinsville.
Well, I mean, if I was him, I'd be a little worried because, you know, the ones who he did last year, they're probably thinking in their head, come Martinsville, hey, ding, 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 like a fight round 2. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But one thing about Martinsville, when it, you know, all bets are off. I mean, the non-playoff drivers are not going to make it easy for the playoff guys. And that's fun to watch, but also it can be very aggravating, you know, both sides of it.
Yeah. And, you know, even if one guy is, you know, out front running well, you know, Martinsville is the cutoff race. So it's going to encourage people to make moves like Ross did today. So, I mean, and Denny, you know, we've seen it. He said, you know, get on the bandwagon or get run over by it. I think Denny meant that. I think he means he will run over people. I think he really, really wants it this year. And so if Denny's not locked in by the time they get to Martinsville, I think he'll move heaven and earth to make it to that Final Four, even if that means wrecking people.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't put it past him. But he just needs to realize, I mean, there's so many checks that people haven't cashed against him that, I mean, any given moment, they can be like, all right, now we're going to take you out when it matters most.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a difficult position. It's, you know, a good thing you can say that there's 3 JGR cars in, 4 JGR. You can say it's a good thing for Hendrick that there are 3 Hendrick cars in, but they also have to race each other. You know, it's highly unlikely all 3 JGR cars are going to make it. So it may come down to Denny racing his teammates. And he's been racing his teammates pretty aggressively lately. So we'll see if that comes back to haunt him.
Oh, yeah. And when that way it could come back to haunt him. I mean, you know, I know they had a closed meeting, but with Ty Gibbs, I mean, you know, he ran decent today. But, I mean, at the same time, as we've seen in the spring race, him and Tyler Reddick, who was one of Denny Hamlin's drivers at 2311, I mean, I watched that NASCAR Radioactive, and he said, keep that you-know-what away from me after the race, because him and Reddick did not like each other in that spring race at Martinsville, so that could be a factor as well.
Well, guys do hold grudges, and you never know when they'll, you know, pay it off. And
right.
Especially if there's an indication that 2311 may not be here next year, maybe Tyler and Bubba have nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know about that, but at the same time, it's like, you know, on that show, when that surfaced, when I was watching that show today, you know, before the race, you know, Tyler Reddick just said, hey, I'm here to race, and that's what I'm here to do. You know, that'll play out as it should. But also, you know, when they're doing these interviews, I wish some of the press would, like, focus on the championship, you know, in the playoffs itself, and don't bring that stupid crap into the interviews, because it's like, you know, don't try to distract them. We want to see them race competing for a championship, and, you know, don't put what I call the seeds of doubt in a driver's head. That's just not right.
Yeah, they always try to, you know, bring or get the driver to make a, you know, a headline, you know, make a big statement. And they're like always fishing for an answer. You can always kind of feel that, instead of just trying to actually report on what's going on. And I think a lot of people are getting fed up with it because I've seen a lot of drivers this season more than any other season just straight up call reporters out. Like, why are you asking that? Like, that's a stupid question.
Yeah, exactly. And I find it kind of funny. And then they have that deer in the headlights look like, well, why are you getting like that? It's like, well, you ask stupid questions, you're going to get stupid prizes.
Yes, that's right. And it's always funny to see it play out that way.
Oh, it absolutely is. And because when I served, I mean, I would deal with some of the same things, but then I would just refer it, say, well, if you have any questions about that, this person is more qualified than me, and that's how I should put that down.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to ask my supervisor. That's above my pay grade. Direct all questions to this person. Yeah, that's definitely a good way to do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, that way it's short, sweet, to the point, and then they're like, okay. It's like, you shut them down so that way they're still not fishing.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to do it. A lot of drivers could benefit from that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And, it's let them do what they do, and let's just focus one race at a time. But I just think as the playoffs go on, Vegas is next week. It's gonna be exciting, each race that is coming up. I mean, we've seen good finishes at all 4 tracks that are left at their earlier races, and I don't think any of these tracks are going to disappoint either.
I hope you're right. I mean, just looking at it on paper, it looks like it's going to be an exciting round. And the drivers know, like, this is the round that gets you to the championship. So everything means so much more this round. And it's going to be pretty wild.
No, it is. And, it's going to be literally last man standing. But at the same time, when you have drivers who have been here before, that is going to pay huge dividends. But the wild card in this round of 8 is Briscoe. But in my opinion, he's just as prepared, if not able, to go easily to the championship 4 as any of the other 7 drivers. So, I mean, just where he's familiar, where he's so locked in, he's just as a threat as anybody else.
Yeah, I think, it's going to come down to, something crazy at Martinsville. But I think the thing that'll put people above or below the cut line will most likely be Talladega. In the spring, though, we didn't see a big one. So Talladega?
My wife was telling me the same thing earlier. Yeah, we didn't. So, I mean, what's the likelihood of happening twice? Probably not. So, I just have a feeling, especially when we go to Talladega, what lacked in the spring will probably be tenfold here in the fall.
It'll be crazy. It'll be interesting to see if any of the drivers decide to play strategy, give up stage points to run in the back and try to stay out of a wreck. But
well, that's like with the Toyotas when they all try to run together, and then you had Ross Chastain where he got in the middle and messed that up. It's like very well played. It's like, you can say, well, that was what you call Chastain there.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of manufacturer, teamwork, I guess, cooperation at Talladega. It'll be interesting to see which manufacturer will work together the best.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. But when it comes to manufacturers working together the best, I mean, in my opinion, I know the Fords are always strong, but the Toyotas and the Chevys, for some odd reason at Talladega, they usually, when they work together like that, usually have better. But I mean, in the end, especially Penske, with the 3 Penske Fords, they always work so well together, no matter what track they're at. And especially when it comes to the Fords, Team Penske is always a threat. I mean, anytime they hit the track.
Yeah, it seems like unless they get involved in a wreck, Joey and Blaney have a way of making their way towards the front at the end of a Talladega race. So,
absolutely,
and
every time. I
think the Penske guys have a shot at each of the tracks in this round: Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I enjoyed it last year, even though my favorite driver was on the end of it. When you seen Blaney and Elliott, when they race, even when they know things are on the line, they always, even when they do the bump and run, it's clean and they race each other, yes, competitively, but they don't resort to it being dirty, and that's why a lot of fans, including myself, I have respect for not only my favorite driver Chase, but also for Blaney, because it's like the golden rule. Chase said in one of his interviews one time, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, that is interesting. Some drivers will intentionally go out of their way not to make friends because they don't want to have to race guys differently. But it is always interesting to see when Chase, when Bubba, when Ryan, when they get around each other, because they do race each other very close. But like you said, it's not dirty. It's not to that level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're still giving racing and, competing like the fans want to see, but it's also professional, which is also good too. And also, if they ever make a mistake, I've seen it on Radioactive, those drivers are like, hey, tell them that was my bad, or, I didn't mean to do that, and everything. And, that just shows, hey, the caliber of driver and person that they are.
Yeah, that's a good point. I always like to hear that. When a driver makes a mistake, they don't immediately say, I need to see the replay. They're just like, yeah, I'll take blame for it. Even if it's not their fault, we can decide that once we see the replay. I think it's just a classy thing to be like, oh yeah, I'll take the blame for it. That's my bad. Tell their spotter that wasn't intentional. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think those three drivers need to put Hocevar down and actually, give him an etiquette class on that because, Hocevar's he does have some skills and he's got tons of potential, but he reminds me of a younger version of Chastain where he's not going to go far if he doesn't clean up some stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly who he reminded me of this season. He had very competitive finishes, and it looked like he was possibly going to break through and win a race. But, I think a lot of these dirty finishes kind of got in his head, and, him taking guys out. And, part of that may be that the field's just not putting up with it much more. So they're starting to race him back pretty tough. And
yeah, exactly. And what goes around comes around. And I mean, if I'm Hocevar, I'm like, yes, you're going to get there. You've got the talent, and everything. And every driver is going to have their good and their bad races. But you've got to look at this and be like, do I really want to, when you see these other drivers like Chastain and Hamlin and Logano, where if you'd raced a little cleaner, maybe you get a break here and there, it adds up.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, these drivers hold grudges. And, we have a track coming up, Martinsville. That's one of the best tracks to repay grudges. So if Hocevar races people rough there, I fully expect someone to get him facing the other direction.
Oh, yeah. Or one of the best repayments at Martinsville. There's so many, but one going back. I'm not sure what year it was, but when Jeff Gordon and Kurt Busch, Kurt Busch was in the two, Gordon just gave him the classic bump and run, and then just Kurt Busch goes crazy, spins him out, and, and he hits the wall hard with the rear end of his car. And over Radioactive said, well, he's got a really short fuse. I'm like, well, if you hadn't have bumped him, maybe you wouldn't have got sent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the one thing. When you bump somebody at Martinsville, or if you force them up the track, you better make sure you can get far enough ahead. That way they don't repay you in the next corner.
Oh yeah, I mean, and another one where you had back in one race when Danica Patrick was racing, and I think it was Landon Castle in '83.
I think so.
I guess she tried to, wreck him. And I like when he come over Radioactive, he said, rule number one of stock car racing, don't try to wreck somebody and then wreck yourself.
Mm-hmm. And Danica, that was an interesting experiment.
Interesting is a mild way to put it. Yeah.
I think it would have been huge for the sport if she'd been successful, but I mean, she only won, I think, a single race in IndyCar, maybe. I mean, so it's not like she was lighting up the world over there, and then she jumped into a completely different type of racing with a heavier car, one that's harder to drive. So, I know NASCAR had more money at the time, but I'm not sure that was the best career move.
No, not really, but I mean, I give her kudos for definitely trying because that is such a big adjustment when you go
Huge.
from Indy to Cup like that. But what another thing would be good for NASCAR, and I think it would be good is like baseball, for example. You know, you have the major league, and then in the minors, you got single A, double A, triple A. Is if you should have to put so much time and work your way up instead of making a jump. You know, like start with the Menards, then go up to trucks, then Xfinity, and then finally get a shot at Cup. Because I think if you do that, that way you get experience, and you're like, okay, this is the differences, and you would see, I think, better maturity with drivers instead of making a jump from C to A.
Yeah, it would be interesting. I think you'd probably see a lot more drivers, reach the Cup Series with maturity. But I mean, nowadays in the age of money drivers, I just don't see it happening because, if a guy is, very successful and he's in Cup, but he's not bringing sponsors, well, he loses his ride. Because, I mean, Kyle Busch, one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, in my opinion, at least top 10, he lost his ride at JGR, where he won his championships, where he won several races, tons of races, but he didn't bring sponsorship. And so he was out. And, that's just how the sport is nowadays. You got to bring money. No one's trying to run a charity.
Yeah, that's very true. And, and what's going to be interesting is one other note, but like Daniel Suarez, he finished really good today, and he could have every reason to lay it down because we already know he's not coming back next year to Trackhouse, and people are wondering where he's going to wind up. And, I already have a couple of ideas of where he could probably end up, but I just want the best for him going forward. But I think if I was Joe Gibbs, call me crazy here, but I would try to get Busch back if you ever could, because I think you put him back in JGR equipment. Oh yeah, he'd go back to being dominant like he was, a threat each and every week. But I don't know what's going on over at RCR, and I'm such a big fan of Richard Childress. A lot of respect for the man, but you look at the successful teams, they learn to evolve, and I just think RCR somewhere just forgot how to evolve, with the sport and everything, and that's been their own downfall, which I hate to see them suffer because I have so much respect for that organization.
Yeah, I think Harvick said it. One of the reasons that he decided to leave RCR was that even though, 10 years had passed, it was still the same team that Senior left. And they never really moved past Dale Senior, and it seems like they're still kind of hanging on to that same mentality. And, it seemed like they were having more success when they were partnered with Hendrick Motorsports for that one, half of a season, it seemed like. So I'm not sure why that ended, who ended that, but it seems like both organizations took a step back when the partnership ended.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But yeah, that partnership I would have been excited to see that going. But Kevin Harvick said in one of his interviews in a truck race, he said that's the reason I'm leaving RCR is you got those kids coming up who's had a silver spoon fed to them. And and I think one of the other things that a lot of fans have asked over the years, I mean, look at Austin Dillon, okay? I mean, yes, he has some talent, but he's just not consistent with like your higher end drivers. And I understand that's your grandson, but at the same time, that's where when you're a successful team owner, you've got to do what's best. And if he would have been smart, he would have took Dillon out of the 3 years ago and try to get maybe Busch back then or another up and coming driver, because sometimes if you want to be successful, you got to pull the wild cards and you got to do the decisions that you don't want to do, or otherwise, if you want to stay sentimentally, you're going to get left in the dust.
Yeah, the trigger they should have pulled probably is they probably should have picked up Kyle Larson when he lost his job. We know how that went down, but right. Richard, I don't think that would have bothered him too much either way. And honestly, that's probably when they should have pulled the trigger and said, hey, Austin, you can move back to Xfinity. You can go part-time, but we got to go a different direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's no disrespect to Dylan there because he does have some good traits, but I also think maybe he might be a better behind the scenes type of guy because, in a lot of his interviews and stuff, he actually does have some good ideas, but, some are just better in the car, some are better out of the car.
I've heard that as a rumor that maybe once maybe once Richard retires, Austin might step behind the desk and become one of the administrators over there. So we'll see what goes down over at RCR because I think there's definitely gonna be some changes coming. There's already been rumors that Richard might retire, so we'll see what happens there.
Right, and I mean, Richard has nothing left to prove. I mean, he's done really good as a team owner. I mean, and he does so much and has a lot going on. Very nice individual, and he has nothing left. Sometimes you got to know when it's time to retire, and I mean, let's not be a Brett Favre here, who kept playing longer than he should have.
Yeah, poor Brett. He got beat up pretty bad those last few seasons too. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
That was so painful to watch.
All right. Any other thoughts, or we're gonna wrap things up for this week?
Well, just overall was a good race today. I see some good changes coming for NASCAR and everything, but with this season going on, I think it's still going to be exciting. That no matter what track, it's going to be an awesome finish. And as fans, we just got to continue to be behind the drivers. But I'm thankful to have with your show and enjoy being here. And I'm calling from Lenoir City, Tennessee, which is only a couple hours from the heart of NASCAR. So there's plenty of NASCAR fans here, and we get pretty behind our teams here in Tennessee.
For sure, yes. It's a great state. It's a beautiful state. East Tennessee is a very beautiful part of the country. So yeah, you're in a perfect spot to be a NASCAR fan for sure.
Oh, absolutely, and I love that every day, but I just want to say to all the other NASCAR fans, hey, let's just get behind the drivers, let's enjoy the rest of this season, and keep going forward, and thank you for having me on your show.
For sure, good to have you, man. Good to hear from you as always. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you, and you have a good one.
Thank you, you too. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you. Bye.
All right, guys. Hey, Crazy Kid, I've been seeing what you're saying in the chat. Good to hear from you, and Double A still in the chat. You guys have been making some good points. And great call there. Always great to have you guys call in and discuss the events of the race. I just had to pause it here. This made me laugh. How close he got to Denny there. Whoa. That's beautiful. But that'll do it for us, guys. We're closing in on an hour 45 here for our post-race. It was great to hear from you guys, hear your thoughts on today's NASCAR race, and kind of an outlook on what's going on with the playoffs, the playoff system, and what our next round might look like. That'll do it for us. Not sure when we will be live again. Could be this evening. Could be tomorrow. But if you're new here, if you'd like to, go ahead and subscribe, drop a like. And hopefully I see you guys